Welcome to the Author to Authority podcast. And today I am excited for today's topic of conversation because websites have become so commonplace that people have really forgotten, or entrepreneurs have forgotten, what their website is supposed to be used for.
Mm.
So I'm so glad to welcome Emanuel Rose today to the show. Now, Emanuel was born and raised on the West Coast of the United States. He has spent over 3 decades earning a reputation in cutting edge marketing. He's a renowned expert in the field, and he specializes in branding, advertising, and day to day operations at his digital agency, Strategic eMarketing. His passion lies in helping companies achieve business success from bottom to the top. I love that. Emmanuel's unique approach to marketing strategies has resulted in countless clients reaching their goals. Emmanuel enjoys learning his craft and implementing new techniques and theories for his clients, not only in his home state of Oregon, but around the world. And together with his hand selected staff,
You bet.
Emmanuel creates opportunities for solving challenges in the ever changing digital landscape. Welcome to the show, Emmanuel.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm excited to have a conversation with you today.
Me as well. This is the first time on my show. This is the third podcast recording today, so
Oh, no problem.
lips got to catch up with the brain. This is your first time on the Author to Authority podcast. I would love for you to take a little bit of time and just share a bit of your business story, and how did you come to really have a passion for marketing?
That's a great question. It was kind of like one of those deals where I just kind of stumbled onto it by my interest. I was one of those kids that that sold seeds door to door so that I could buy a balsa wood airplane, and I did a lot of those sorts of mowed lawns for the neighbors, and had my own tutoring business when I was in college, and I've always been interested in doing my own thing. I'm not very good at following the rules, and so I'm not the best employee, but I'm always out there looking and seeing what's going on, and how I can participate in my own way. So as I got involved in organizations, then most people don't want to go be the hunter or the salesperson, and then don't want to study on how to actually do good marketing and
Mhm.
create the leads. And so I kind of fell into it that way, and then have spent the years educating myself both with books and seminars and on the ground dirt time.
I love what you just said, Emmanuel, because there are times when people feel disqualified because they don't have sort of that, you know, college university education. And I'm not against it at all. But not everyone gets that opportunity. And I'm like you. I'm like a bootstrap person. Give me a book, give me a video, give me Google,
Yeah.
and I'll figure it out. Now, do
And-
I always get it great or right? Well,
no.
and that's when you bring in experts like yourself to come in and help me or teach me or train me. But I love the fact that you just really you didn't let the lack of education stop you. You just said, I'm going to do this and I'm going to learn how. And I think that's a trait of a true entrepreneur, is that learning spirit, that it doesn't matter if you don't have the education, you're going to start doing it, then you'll read the book on it, you'll make several mistakes, then you'll Google it, and then you'll watch a few videos on it.
Yeah.
And then when you really have to, you will find someone to teach you and train you how to do it.
Or yeah, well, and that's what is so neat about the time we live in, is that there's these sites like clarity.fm and these other connector sites where you can schedule these fractional times with people to learn about any part of the business that you're interested in or need to know about, and it is hundreds of dollars instead of hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that.
That is cool. I love it. I've never heard of that site before.
Yeah, it's Clarity, CLARITY dot, I think, pretty sure FM, and I've hired lots of people for one or two or three conversations to give me very tactical and specific help on problems that I had. Plus, I mean, like you said, just reading the books and testing and trying things and being willing to make mistakes and learn experientially. That's probably, that's how I'm wired. I did go to college. I studied psychology, um,
That's a
but
good thing for marketing.
yeah, absolutely. It's kind of triggered a lot of my hobbies and my interest in the grandkids and being more of a human. Right? They always say about psych majors, they're in there to try to figure out themselves.
Oh, you mentioned grandkids, and that always brings a smile to this Nana's heart.
Oh,
Uh, they're like the reward for raising your kids. Everything you went through with raising your kids, you get rewarded with the grandkids.
yeah. Well, I skipped straight from not having kids to being grandpa, or as they call me, papoose, which is a and they've adopted quasi Greek into their own language. So papu is the Greek word for grandpa, but they call me papoose, which is I really it's kind of fun. It's my own little. I feel like I'm half moose, half grandpa.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. It was funny that you mentioned that you did go to school, but for me, one of the things that has, or working with the people on the Clarity website, and as a publisher and as a podcast host, over the years, I've gotten a university level education
I
from my
bet.
clients
Yeah.
and my podcast guests.
Yeah.
It has been an incredible experience. And because I work closely with my clients, and, as a podcast guest, usually you feel a little bit indebted to me for coming on the show. And so many times I've had just a quick question that I've needed answered, and I'll reach out to one of my podcast guests, and they're like, "Sure, Kim, I'll help you. Let's hop on a call. Let's get this fixed for you." So
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's been one of the wonderful things about being a publisher and being a podcast host, because as the one of the things about owning the company is I get to choose what I do. And one of my favorite parts is interviewing the clients for their chapters. So I get to ask them lots of questions.
That's great. Yeah, and my email and my phone's always open to you as well. Absolutely.
Thank you. I
Of course.
appreciate it.
You betcha.
So let's shift gears here a little bit. And I know you've come prepared today to talk about using your website as a critical sales and marketing and staff recruitment tool. So I'm going to let you loose to talk about that for a bit, and then we'll discuss it.
Yeah. So obviously the website has gone through lots of iterations over the life of the internet, and for companies that have been in business for a decade or 2 decades, sometimes the website can get stale, and you need to make changes to it, but you're not sure exactly what to do with it. I personally, we know that the millennials and Gen Z are very oriented to self education, and so
Mhm.
we have to prepare the website to be able to be the digital salesperson with lots of different styles of content.
Mhm.
So not just long blog posts, but then also video content, and not just video content that's crisp and clean and perfect from a production agency, but 10-second clips or 1 minute clips from the CEO or from other staff telling stories, um, and and then lots of lifestyle content
Mhm.
about the company, about what kind of or organizations that you're supporting or projects that you're involved in the community, so that it becomes its own little world of telling the company's story, and more so than just being a static sales page.
Mhm. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's um websites aren't just these, one little page thing anymore. You talked about the website having life. And I think that's the crucial word that you use there is your website kind of needs to be alive. It needs to be growing and changing, and it needs to have vibrancy and attractiveness and different types of content. And you listed some of those content, and I thought so. Some things I thought, wait, I don't have a video as a CEO on my website. Maybe that needs to go on my to-do list.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. While you're driving between appointments or driving to a fundraiser, that 60 seconds of you reflecting on your day and something that was interesting is just as relevant and valuable as a super polished piece. Absolutely.
Mhm. So where would you kind of place those pieces on your website? Because like obviously there's the blog, but are there other areas where you could create to have that kind of content, or should it all just be in one spot?
I think it's personal to the company about how their funnels are set up, but I really still like to adhere to the idea that you've got your blog and your about section, and those are the two places to really buff it up, as well as the homepage can be a little more static, and then can add in this really dynamic content into about and blog, and then that you're bringing back your social posts back to those two sections as well, so that you
Mhm.
give people an easy entry into the self-education part of learning about your company, your products and services.
That is cool. So what are some of the other things that especially people who are like small scale entrepreneurs, people who maybe don't have huge marketing budgets and budgets for digital, designs of websites and that. What would be some of the most critical elements to you that need to be on the website?
Let's see. So I think, like, just in this big picture that we're talking about, I think it's critical, that you talk about the organizations that you support that are in your local area, whether you're in Rotary or you're donating to time to different nonprofits, things that you care about. So that's one thing that, for those of us who are older, 45 and older, that's not how we were trained to do business, but we got to integrate that in.
Mhm.
Um, Family vacations, where you went, what organizations you're involved with in the community. Those are critical pieces that we got to add in, and the simple way to execute that literally is by video on your phone. And so you can
Mhm.
take that 60 seconds of video, have that transcribed, build a blog post from it, post the video to YouTube, back onto your website. You're creating all kinds of good juice, link juice, and you're giving people a way to interact with the website in the way they want to, whether it's watching video or reading something. And then you have social content as well.
That is awesome. One thing I was wondering about as well is in the title it says staff recruitment tools. So can you talk a little bit more about using your website as that?
Yeah. So the idea that, in this kind of 2023, people are not looking for careers; they're looking for places to work where they believe in the people and the function of the business, right? And maybe not in that order, maybe in that order, but we know that the Z's, especially, and the millennials also, really want to be someplace where they are getting to have good experiences, learning a lot of things, and are working with people they like. So it's
Mhm.
critical that you bring in this lifestyle part of the business and the culture of the business by video and pictures and outings that the company has participated in, and show the people, as well as the product and the outcomes that you're creating for your customers. And so the more that you can communicate that in a clean marketing message way, then the
Mhm.
more attractive your company will be when you're duking it out for staff, which we know we've all suffered through in the last few years.
So I'm just wondering, how would that apply more to very small businesses? So, um, more like consultants, professionals who may not really have a lot of staff as per se. Um, and how would they present on a website?
Then they would look at also who their contributors are. Right, we all have independent contractors that we work with. Could be could be their the bookkeeper or accountant group they work with. Could be their attorney would also be willing to be on a about page as part of the team,
Mhm.
so that you're expanding the idea of staffing to brand advocates.
Okay. All right. Do you have any other suggestions or things for us that you've got prepared for us today?
But I think it's important and sometimes challenging as a solopreneur or a small business operator when you got a small team. It's challenging to get marketing focused on target groups. And
Mhm.
so, for instance, I work with health clubs, and they're always like, "Well, we need more memberships." Well, okay, yeah, but they're everybody in the different age stratas got different reasons for getting a membership, right?
Mhm.
When you're over 50, you're just working to maintain your flexibility and your strength, so you can keep going out and swinging the grandkids on the swing set, or so you can play golf or go on a twice a year rafting trip or something. So that target group has got different concerns and needs, and has to have different messaging than a Gen Z kid who is in college. So it's
Mhm.
important to think about the break down what your goals are into stratified
Mhm.
targets, and then adjust your messaging uh, with with the idea of who you're talking to. And the beauty is that now we can adjust that targeting very quickly with the AI tools that are out there. And so it's important as solopreneurs or small business owners to get familiar with Bard and Chat and Grammarly and some of these tools, so that you can create a piece of content and then have the machine update and
Mhm.
target as a starting point, and then you can refine the targeting as the final part of that.
Yeah, I haven't used AI yet. Um, well, I can't. Okay, I can't 100% say
Hmm.
that. I do
Right.
occasionally use one for show notes, just to give me a quick foundation. But for the most part, I don't use AI for writing.
Yep.
But can say uh, that Grammarly has been a wonderful tool over the years, especially if you pay for the upgraded version. And what I did is I paid for it. Well, okay, I probably paid for it for a couple of years just because in the first few years of the business I was really using it. But it was a wonderful tool to help me increase my grammar skills.
Yep.
I was a good writer, but grammar part, this is why I always have editors. And but it showed me patterns. And that was a big thing with Grammarly. It showed me the consistent patterns of bad grammatical behavior and what to do to fix it. So it
Nice.
forced me to improve my writing. Do I still need an editor? Yep. I just
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
wrote a piece wrote a piece yesterday, sent it off to the editor, got it back. I was hoping to see very little in the track changes, and unfortunately, but some of the common mistakes I used to make, I didn't see there. We were getting to trouble with like colons and semicolons. They were
Right.
giving me some issues there. Yeah, I think My opinion on AI is kind of mixed. I do recognize it as a wonderful tool and it can help you in some ways. But for me specifically, because I teach a lot on authority marketing,
Yep.
I think learning to be able to write your own content is important because you have your own unique voice. And that's part of being that authority in your niche is having that unique voice. And so for me, I wouldn't recommend, if you're trying to position yourself to not necessarily use AI because you want to have that unique perspective that catches people's attention. So that's just kind of my thought on it.
No,
But
I agree 100% with you. I think the way that I'm mentioning it here is just that we take it to spin, right? And you say,
mm,
please rewrite this piece that I wrote for 50-year-old Emanuel Rose and spin it for the 22-year-old nephew of Emmanuel, right?
oh
And
yeah,
and then you have another draft, but the rule with AI is you always have to go through and clean it up and customize it back to yourself, right? I
yeah.
totally agree with you, Kim.
Mhm. Well, we got a few minutes left here, Emmanuel. Do you have anything else you want to share with us?
um, well, yeah, absolutely. The coming generation, the Gen Z generation, is a big economic blast of humans, and they have very specific and a very specific psychology, and so it's important as entrepreneurs that we understand um, that they're very interested in learning about things. They very much want to have experiences. They don't want to
Yes.
just go shopping. They want to actually experience the products and services, and so we have to dig a little deeper into creating events and speaking to them in the way that they can be heard, or that you can be heard by them, rather.
I think that's sound advice. Actually, it's sound advice when you're dealing with any of the generations. Usually you tend to understand yours the best,
Right.
but you can't just cater to your own generation if you're going to have a successful business. So, sage advice there, Emmanuel, on understanding, what the different generations want. And it takes research. And sometimes, what I found some of the best research is just talk to people in that generation. When I want to
Yeah.
know what baby boomers think, I go talk to baby boomers.
Right.
My kids are millennials, so I talk to my kids. Don't know too many Gen Zs yet, but I can work on getting to know a few. And then I've got my grandbabies who are 4 and almost 1, so
Nice.
they will give me lots of information as they grow and develop. So I'm excited for that. Emmanuel, if people have enjoyed today's conversation and they would like to connect with you, how can they do that? And do you have any freebies for us today?
You bet. You can contact me on emmanuelrose.com, and um, and if my email's on that website, and I have a workbook about marketing to Gen Z, then I will be happy to either email you or mail you.
Okay. Just taking some notes here. All right. So we have time. Would you like to share one final thought before we go?
Yeah, I would say be committed to being a lifelong learner, and follow the threads that you're interested in as deeply as you can.
Thank you. That was awesome. So, this has been Emanuel Rose and Kim Thompson Pinder on the Author to Authority podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye now.